Hello and welcome to On the Bench. I'm your host for this episode, Brendan Sinone. I'm joined by Zach Blostein, Chris Nee. Gentlemen, a ton to get to today. I often say that it's a verbal crutch for me, but I really do mean it today. I do. Shout out to our sponsors real quick. Chattanooga Whiskey, crushing it in the craft distillery game. The Limoncello finished in a bourbon barrel that Zach's been looking for. No one can find it. It's sold out very, very quickly over at Sealbacks. You can find it if you're in Chattanooga, I think, but yeah, they do really cool stuff. And when they hit on some of their experimental stuff, it sells out really, really fast. So talk to us if you're trying to be on the lookout for something. We can help guide you to where it is. But if it sells out, it sells out. Sorry, you snooze, you lose, Zachary. I'm really like a week after. But I'm really interested in this. It's like you should have told me then. I'm really interested in this. Should have told me then. I could have gotten it for you. You snooze, you lose. You know what? If you feel like you're kind of bummed out and you want to do some spending, you can do. You can buy a house. Just recklessly, just go buy a house. And who would help you to make the best purchase possible?
The Turner Group.
You guys are on it today. Colin, Amy Turner, awesome job, great people, and they do a fantastic job with the home buying, home selling process in Florida and Central Florida. Colin's a great dude and really well connected, and literally can help you get where you want to go. So check them out if you've been in the market, thinking about entering the market, and if you want to get in contact with Colin, let me know and I will set that up. I just did that for a listener pretty recently, so thank you for your patronage. Okay, I think we want list season to kind of come and go. We want to talk a little bit about some scoop that we've had at Knowles 24/7. But real quick, let's just talk about recruiting. We'll get that portion of this over with. It was kind of just a disappointing weekend, I guess, for a lot of the good that had happened in early July, late June. This was considered a pretty big weekend for Florida State to kind of try to ramp up its class to like the top 12-ish range and stay in that area. Instead, you're now more trending for top 15-ish, whether that makes a huge difference or not. I don't know, Zach, talk to me. What's the difference between 12 and 15 other than 3 spots?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest takeaway from this weekend is you're going to have to do some board resetting. I think especially at the edge rusher position, Cottrell Webb announced his commitment to Purdue. I think FSU probably could have landed him, but I think his, what he was asking for financially just exceeded what they valued him at. So I think that's why he ended up at Purdue. But FSU also doesn't really have any options at the edge rusher position. They need to recruit at that jack linebacker spot. It's not a position they've recruited before. Obviously, with Adam Fuller having a completely different defensive scheme, not really utilizing that type of body before in his defense, and obviously it's a pretty integral position to Tony White's defense, at least historically. And on that note, they also didn't land their, one of their.
I thought you were going to have scoop for us.
No, I was going to say they also didn't land one of their top linebacker targets, which we talked about before. They might be trying to find value in that position to potentially help at that jack linebacker spot, someone who can rush the passer. And, Rodney Colton is who I'm referring to. He committed to Colorado. That was a very wishy-washy recruitment in the last few weeks. At one point it was Florida State, then it was Ole Miss.
Chris, I won't let you besmirch anyone from Noonan. You're not going to laugh at him saying it was wishy-washy and just get away with it.
I just think that's an apt description of a kid going to Colorado.
Oh, well.
Yeah, not that like there's definitely value to some positions there at Colorado, right? I think no one can really fault like a DB for going and trying to learn under Prime. But it's so, like Colorado recruiting is so confusing to me because like I fully expected Dion to be out after Shador and Travis left. He's still there, but he doesn't really recruit the high school ranks like holistically. Like he doesn't I think their class is like under 10 players in it. So it's a weird deal. But yeah, he commits to Colorado. I think they made a big financial play late in that recruitment, like in the last week. FSU would have liked to land Rodney Colton, and I think they're still going to continue to recruit him. But Yeah, I mean, one of the guys that was supposed to announce over the weekend, DQ Forkba, his dad told Chris that he was going to delay his decision until some later date. What do you make of that, Chris?
Michigan's the team that's really caused so he was going to Florida. If he had committed on the date that he was supposed to commit on, it was going to be Florida. Florida had trended as the leader for a couple weeks leading up to it. Michigan, which is another destination he took an official visit to in addition to FSU, Florida, and a few others, they've just done a really good job. Academics matter there, but I also just think the family really likes Michigan. I think there's a degree of Michigan's been in the back of his mind consistently throughout this. I don't think they wanted to rush into it. I do think there's an effort there by the Forkpaw family, including DQ himself, to make only one commitment. So I think, in a manner, he just didn't rush into it. But I don't think it was because of FSU. I think it was because of Michigan. I still expect FSU to miss out on Forkpaw in the end.
It's not the kind of news I hope for, Chris.
Sorry, Zach. I thought Colton was the guy that they needed to get a position. I truthfully think Colton was the most talented of the three big-time linebackers they were recruiting. And I think based on some knowledge we have of what they thought of Colton, I think they thought Colton was probably that guy too, of that threesome. So, to me, that was a disappointing one to miss on there. There's a degree of, I kept saying leading up to that decision, you're going to have to spend to get him. I think FSU's hesitancy is probably if you spend now, you're going to have to spend more later. You might still be able to go after them financially down the stretch. We saw FSU flip plenty of guys at the end of the cycle last year, but I do think linebacker is a place where there's a void. I don't think there's somebody you can just plug and play in there in the sense of recruiting them who's of equal talent to Rodney Colton. About 90% of top 247 prospects will be committed by the end of the month, if not a little bit higher than that percentage. Colton is a guy whose ranking is legitimate in my view. So I just don't think there's another guy you get there. I kind of feel the opposite about Cottrell Webb. Not to besmirch the kid or speak negatively of him because I don't think he's a bad player. And there's also a degree of I don't know what FSU's Jack's going to truly be till I see it on the field in this defensive scheme in this school. But I wasn't broken up that they didn't get Webb. I am disappointed at their edge recruiting as a whole, but I'm not broken up that Webb isn't the guy that fills that void.
For sure. And that's not I think that's the point, right? Is they've the edge board being so bare, with no options at this point. It makes
it's a jack, not a bear. You're calling it the wrong position.
It makes that position, the limited options more important than they normally might be because you don't have those other options. And that doesn't mean that FSU needs to rush into trying to just land a commitment to land a commitment, right? But Cottrell Webb was a take,
right,
depending on the price point.
Yeah.
So that's important to note. But yeah, I agree. I mean, the bigger issue is you don't really have another guy to be like, oh well, hey, we'll just go prioritize him more. They just their options were so limited.
Doesn't it seem like, Zach, that linebacker is going to be more of a circle back around type of approach, whereas edge jack is more of an expansion of the board that's needed? I could be way off on that, but that's just kind of from talking to you the feeling I get.
It could be both. I mean, so I think FSU internally, I think they're going to try and heavily recruit Jordan Campbell, the Miami linebacker commit, who said his recruitment was shut down, but I guess recently said that he's going to take more visits.
Second time he's done that, for the record.
Yes. And then
I love recruiting.
Isaiah Williams, speaking of loving recruiting, 5 different commitments to this point, and can FSU make it 6 and get him back in the class?
Ooh, does it count as a new commitment? Does it, if you go back?
It's not 5 different, but it's 5 individual commitments decisions, I should say.
No, listen, there's a 0% chance that would end up in a transfer too, wherever he goes. There's just not even a thing to even think about.
Long run.
What is the amount now, if Buyer Sonone, sponsored by
the Turner Group?
You don't get concerned about a recruit's transfer proclivities or their commitment proclivities until it exceeds 2 now.
I mean, so in the case
of high school transfers, sorry.
I mean, Yeah, if they're showing you a red flag, you should be concerned about it.
But what's a red flag now?
To quote you, it's a data point. See
Are you
something,
saying
say something.
are you saying 2 commitments or 2 high school transfers?
Either or.
Yeah, I think 2 is a good number.
Thanks. Bye. That was poorly.
Uh,
1.5 should have been the
I
number.
said bye. You
Oh,
just
I don't
missed it.
know. Sorry.
I implied by.
You
Yeah.
did imply bye, but you didn't play the game correctly. So.
With Isaiah Williams, they're trying to get him for the last possible OV they can to get the last impression. And a lot of other schools burn their OVs over the summer, so FSU actually has a shot to try and do that.
And then Hezzy Kent goes to Florida, tight end, jumbo tight end. By the way, I know there's a lot of talk about moving him to offensive line. I think you try to have him lose like 20 pounds and play tight end after watching him more closely. I prepared a scouting report just in case. Also prepared one on Rodney Colton. Also prepared one on Control Webb too. So
You cursed us. That's what you did.
Just time. There was a point where I just stopped doing pre-writes for scouting reports.
Yeah, and our recruiting got better.
Yeah, it did. And when I had just stopped doing it for a while and I had dusted off the old be a scouting report document, Jeremiah Smith was the last one I did. So just
Curse the program. Blame Brendan.
my bad. But Hezzy Kent goes to Florida. Not a big surprise there. That was trending with a lot of crystal balls and whatnot for a while. I think FSU thought they had a chance, but they'll continue to recruit him. I think they'll continue to recruit Rodney Colton. We'll see. I don't know if they'll continue with Control Webb unless the price point changes. So we'll see. It'll be the dust is settling here. I think other than who's left, Chris Wilson's years, one of the offensive linemen.
Deron Parks, Derek Cooper's throw it in there mention because he took an official visit, but he's going to end up elsewhere without a shadow of a doubt. But yeah, Doodles Parks, which is a big offensive lineman, originally from West Virginia, plays down in Central Florida now. And or I guess Southwest Florida. I don't want to get my geographic regions wrong.
What schools yet? Let's determine this.
He's what? Sarasota,
Cardinal Mooney.
So
you're talking about
yeah.
That's
something.
I heard he might go back to West Virginia.
I think he is currently up there, at least has been up there since
originally.
OV's concluded. Yeah, I think he's from Hurricane, West Virginia, if I remember correctly. The first time he ever visited FSU, he was visiting the state, like he was down there where he ended up moving, but he was actually living in West Virginia.
You're saying FSU convinced him to move to the state of Florida?
No. I think that was in the plans. I don't know if it's a split household where one's here, one's there. I don't know the dynamics of it all. I just know part of it is he wanted to play football in the state of Florida.
Like got on the tailspin. That was good. All right, so that's kind of usually I'm the tail spinner. That's kind of what's left on the board. FSU is ranked what today?
15, I think at last check.
I'm pulling it up. Yep, 15.
Stop the count.
But some good news. I don't want us to be accused. I'm not going to derail. I don't want us to be accused of being negative. They did get some good news, and Zach, that was that they were able to get a recruitment shut down. It was public. It was broken by Knowles 24/7. It was for a guy who I think is a little bit underrated, with some potential blue chip upside. But let's talk about that real quick. And it was important given some of the developments at linebacker this weekend.
Yeah, so Karan Maycock, who committed to Florida State originally in February of this year, he told me for Knowles 24/7 that he has shut down his recruitment. He took OVs to Florida, Alabama, and Syracuse along with FSU in June. His final two was I think came down to Syracuse and FSU. I don't think Florida and Alabama were pushing super heavily for him, but they did, bring him in for OVs, so that's notable at the very least. But yeah, it's a nice, win for FSU. I will say, we saw multiple recruitment shut down last summer, and then we saw what we saw. So they need to still go win games. Like it's not, he's a kid in South Florida. Like there's a lot of wishy-washiness down there in general, with a lot of recruits. So it's a good win. I like Karan Maycock as a prospect a lot. Like he's a really athletic linebacker, who, I think some people have concerns about, the amount of mass he can put on, like how much more can he grow. But for what he is now, I really like him, and I think he can be an athletic piece within Tony White's defensive scheme.
We list him at 200. Do you think he's just right there, right above it?
He's around that, probably just above it.
I think it's more of a frame deal.
The frame stuff I think is the concern. Like, I think like how much more mass can you put on? Like, I think that's a real thing that I think like evaluators are looking at. But I do think Karan Maycock as the player right now, like he's a little under ranked, I would say. Like I'd probably have him closer to a 4-star grade. I think we have him as like an 86, which is a mid 3-star. So I'd have 88, 89, I think would be fair. And I like him. I like the mental makeup too. Like he's a good kid. He's been great to deal with, from our job standpoint. I've known him for a long time. I remember I was at the Tallahassee airport. We were on the same flight going home to South Florida when I was down there last year. He was at a camp. He was there with his dad, and we were waiting at the terminal, and I interviewed him there for the first time, which was funny. His dad's super cool. So I think his dad went to FAM, I want to say.
There's a few family ties there.
Yeah.
So when he came, I think the same visit you're talking about, they ended up staying in the Sunday. They were actually at softball with Gerard Ross, and there's, I think, a sibling that went to FAM. I think his father may have gone to FAM, or mom.
Does he have a brother who played cornerback? There's a cornerback named Maycock who played.
Yes, I believe that is related.
FAMU.
I'm not 100% sure if it's immediate family in the sense of a brother or if it's a cousin, but yeah, it's immediate family. It is a family member.
Okay.
But yeah, there's multiple ties to the area, because I remember having a conversation after that visit, because everybody thought when he committed, this was, I guess, back in February is when I'm talking. When he committed, everybody thought, well, Miami's just going to swoop in there and take him away because he's from down there. And somebody was like, no, there's actually quite a few ties to this area for him, and he's pretty comfortable with it. So
I think that's all on recruiting for right now. Seeing how they can close on the offensive line will be important. And listen, like, we're all aware it's July. Things can change. Your fortunes changed a lot after last July, and this season's going to play a big reason in that. And then also negotiation window at the very end of the recruiting cycle as well. But this is important.
I think addition of Parks or Wilson's error or both certainly changes the outlook on it, because it satisfies one of their two biggest needs in the sense of high value positions, tackle and edge. Edge is a big question mark at this point. Linebacker, I think they know what they need to do, but that's probably more long game at this point, since Colton decided to go with Colorado out of gate and they fell short of the other two they were pursuing there that I would put on that same tier.
Cool. So we'll move it forward here. Let's talk real quick, gentlemen. We did some VIP scoop over at Knowles 24/7 board. You can check us out at Knowles 24/7. That's where you can get information first, most detailed, all that good stuff. And if you do really like the podcast, mailbag questions and stuff there as well. But naming rights to Doak Campbell Stadium is a thing that has been talked about for a little while now to try to get that revenue, and it could be substantial revenue. But we did a report yesterday, and it would basically, and this is, I'm going to throw it to Chris here, but this has been discussed for a while, but it would be the Seminole tribe. So Hard Rock would be the brand. It'd be through the Seminole tribe of Florida. And let's talk a little bit about what we're hearing there, Chris.
I feel like it's a topic that's been on the agenda really since post-COVID, because books changed a lot for schools. I think schools realized how important it is for revenue generation, specifically to football, after COVID happened. I think that became a clear picture nationally, and certainly at FSU, I believe that became a clear picture. With regards to FSU, I think they've not been in a rush to just slap a name on the stadium. I'm sure they've had options that were financially feasible of just putting a name on there. But I think they want it to be something that has a clear and distinct tie to Florida State, or at least a very major tie to the local area. And obviously, when you go to the tribe, that's an example of a place where FSU has an unbelievably good relationship. We've seen the NCAA try to combat the use of Chief Osceola and Renegade and the characters, as they would call it, but in regards to FSU, they call it symbols because they are depictions of the tribe with tribe approval. I think this is an example where, based on your reporting, Brendan, with the tribe being the primary party currently involved in this discussion, where you just further that relationship, plus it's financially beneficial to FSU, certainly. it gives you liquidity out of the gate, depending on how the financial terms of it all would be set up. And obviously, FSU has some very big budget items they're currently maneuvering around, primarily the building of a football-only facility combined with the renovation of Doak Campbell, in addition to just the rising cost of running a football program and an athletic program as a whole.
And a pending buyout to the ACC.
Right.
Not a surprise that that's an avenue they're exploring. I don't think that's breaking news.
I understand people that always balk at the idea of slapping a corporate name on this and that. I'm of the opinion that like it just is where we are in athletics, especially in collegiate athletics. I think LSU recently talked about putting a patch on their jerseys, for example. It's just what it is. Like
I think FSU is starting to consider that as well, for what it's worth.
Any way you can funnel more money into your program that's not coming directly out of pocket of the people that attend your games, watch your games, your boosters who are already, being hit up constantly for money and giving more and more. That's how you've got to do it. And I know there's an uncomfortableness because it gets away from the old school idea of college athletics not being professional. That's out the window, in my opinion, especially in the day and age where it's pay for play now with contracts without a CBA. But eventually a CBA is coming and they're going to be employees when they finally get this thing freaking right at some point down the line. So you have to have money in the coffers. So if you can do it in a relatively tasteful manner where you strengthen a relationship with a group of people that you have a great relationship with and basically combat any future opposition from the NCAA regarding the use of the logo, the symbol, yada, yada, you go ahead and do it. And that's where they're at. You want to add a little bit more on the details of the financial side of it and what you kind of heard?
Yeah, I don't want to go too much into the exact specifics. One is because I don't want to paint us in a corner with some of the reporting, but also too, I want our VIP subscribers to have the most details. What I will say is that the negotiations through my reporting, through Chris's reporting, have with the Seminole Tribe have been ongoing for quite some time now, years. And there's been times where Florida State has been told no.
Yeah.
And that's largely, my understanding, is because they want to put their resources into more pro related entities.
They like to limit the properties they're involved with to a degree.
They do have a stadium right now in South Florida, and that goes through 2030 something, Hard Rock Stadium. So that is a factor. Now I think one thing, and so talking to some people, like they thought this was dead. Now other people thought this was obviously still ongoing, and can report very confidently that it is still ongoing at this point. But then just to give you like an example of, how this has been a thing where FSU has thought it's dead in the water at some point, and it has resurfaced again. And I think what could ultimately be different, why it's moved along a little bit here, is that some of the terms in terms of for FSU would be more of a liquidity, a good portion of what could be a six-figure deal, or six-figure. That would be six-figure, right?
Six to 7,000.
Nine-figure deal.
There you go. There you
go. That's a big difference. Six-figure deal would be wild. I'm much better on paper. A nine-figure deal would be a hefty portion of that, if not potentially all of it, would be up front. Now, it'd be a longer term deal. I think that previously would have been discussed as 10 years, so it'd be over 10 years. I don't know if the long term, year over year value would be awesome for Florida State, but having liquidity now, which is kind of where just athletics, the world's going in general with private equity and stuff, is having cash in hand to make moves now. And losing some value later on is kind of what everyone does.
So it's funny. I was going to bring up the PE part of it all. Ultimately, I think schools are trying to avoid getting into private equity. They've investigated it. They've looked into it. They've done valuations regarding it. But I think there's not a rush to get there. There's a stigma that comes with PE. I mean, we just saw the SEC. I believe it was Sankey, but somebody regarding the SEC said we're not yet ready to be in private equity at the SEC meeting. So, that's a common thing now. And that feels like a term that came about in college athletics really in the last 12 to 18 months. But
Florida State being kind of at the forefront.
They were one. Yeah.
Is Florida State ever just not the first for anything?
I mean, I doubt
That
FSU
that's
was the
not necessarily
only
a bad
one
thing.
looking at that, but FSU certainly was comfortable talking publicly about that when it became an article for Sportico or one of those
I think
financial
it was.
side of ones.
Yeah, I think it was Sportico.
But
Sportico informed.
everybody's looking, how can you get more money, because money has to be fed into the monster. And clearly FSU, the projects they have, when they conclude, there are plenty of other projects that need to be done. Everybody on earth knows the baseball stadium needs either a massive upgrade or a new stadium. Doubt Luke's sitting on his hands over at Hoops, not thinking about things that could be done at Hoops that could help them improve. You're adding women's lacrosse and building a facility there. The groundbreaking for that has already happened. So there's just examples of these are things that are going to go on the balance sheet that are expensive.
Okay, I think that covers that topic. You good, Zach? I know that's not your.
Yeah, I mean,
if you have anything to it,
I think just my 2 cents. Like, I think people don't love the professionalization of the sport, obviously, but I think if any name sponsor makes sense, it's the Seminole Tribe, the Seminole Hard Rock. I think that's the most seamless brand and entity that would would feel good to be associated with. I think
I agree totally. Now the idea of Seminole Hard Rock and obviously casinos are a part of that too, and gambling, now sports, but that is another interesting part, is like the marrying of what was amateurism and all of a sudden then having an entity that's very tied to gambling. But I'm glad the lines aren't blurred. Like, I'm just like, let's keep pushing it. I know that sounds blurry, but let's keep pushing it towards, like, this is what it is. It is a semi-pro. Like, it is. And I know
I
that's.
can't wait till we get a.
Brendan's asking for a sports book in the Champions Club. Basically.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. In stadium.
Like, we're just getting there. Like, just rip off the Band-Aid. Let's go. There's probably some things they have to kind of figure out and stuff beyond that. But yeah, that'd be pretty cool. No, you guys wouldn't appreciate that.
Yeah.
I mean, we couldn't make bets in there. That'd probably be unethical, but it would be unethical.
I'll just hire a translator to do it.
Tail spinning. Oh, hey, come on. How about Malik Beasley, by the way? That's I'll save that for Beyond the Bench.
What did he say? Like, Stephon Curry, you better not score 10 3-pointers tonight or something.
Did he? I don't remember. I didn't.
He was like tweeting at players before games, like, "Oh, you better not hit this specific number of shots."
At least he was subtle with it. Allegedly. One other detail that I did get for that. The belief is, and again, this is probably pretty fluid, but I think the belief is like it would be Doak Campbell Stadium presented by. Like, it wouldn't be, you wouldn't not call it Doak Campbell Stadium anymore. Just that's what I was told. There'd be very little appetite from Florida State's end. Everyone has a price, obviously, and situations change, but I think that would be. Oh, and also, I think this has become more of a university side of thing than athletics side. It's that big of a, obviously athletics would have input, but this is escalating to the point of university side. So, all right, it is mid-July, legitimately the Ides of July 15th. We are moving very quickly to ACC Media Day. SEC Media Days are happening. Big 12 just happened. We're going to go to Charlotte. Chris is going to sit in with his favorite, Jim Phillips. Jim Phillips, like, dropped him on the table last year. So, let's just see what this year is.
Hopefully he gets a question in this year.
Yeah.
Chris was just like this.
Yeah.
Looking over, in hindsight, I feel bad. I should have like raised my hand for Chris too, because he was still trying to update. I should have kept it up,
like hold his hand,
or held it. Yeah, just propped it up. It literally would have propped you up. It's teamwork. But anyways, we're going next week. Football is right around the corner. Dates have not been announced yet for fall camp, but by early August, I think they'll be in Jacksonville. The second week of August, 7th, I think it is, and they'll be there for multiple days, more than usual, I guess. So yeah, whoa. So anyways, it's coming very, very soon here. That means we're about to exit list season, and I just wrapped up poetically my 40 most important player count up. I tried to do it from 1 to 40 this year instead of 40 to 1. I don't know if I liked it or not that way, but I wanted to try something differently because I thought last year's list was just a lot of bullshit in hindsight because it was. Oops,
2 and
earmuffs.
10.
Yeah, it's our fault, obviously.
Yeah.
First seen it coming. But anyways, I digress. I wanted to go over not the entire list. I just wanted to talk with you guys, get your thoughts, kind of the makeup. I don't know. Have you actually followed along and read it? No, I know Chris.
Not an ounce. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
I look at the titles. I make sure they end up on Facebook and they end up in an email and tweeted.
What do you think of the titles?
I love count up.
Doesn't make your OCD.
My brain just doesn't work that way. I'm not good at handling something that's not a unique term.
Change?
Yeah, not good with it. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. A lot of people aren't. So anyways, I'll go over like the top 10 for me. Remember, important is subjective to an extent, but I kind of think about like wins over replacement, positional value, different stuff. Let's just get into it. Quarterback 1 is number 1, Tommy Castellanos. Number 2, I had Deuce Robinson, wide receiver. Number 3, edge, James Williams. Number 4, Daryl Jackson. I tiered it as well. So 2 through 4 with Robinson, Williams, and Jackson were guys who I thought to be all ACC caliber. Then kind of like a transitional tier. I call it the grit tier, but like these guys could be all ACC guys as well. That's cornerback Jeremiah Wilson, Luke Petitbon, a lot of transfers. I don't know if you guys have picked up on it. All these guys technically have transferred in. And then the wild card starters tier. I think this is where it got a little controversial. Number 7, Squirrel White, transfer. Number 8, Micah Pettis, transfer. Number 9, DeMonte Diggs, transfer. And number 10, Earl Little Jr. So let's sit and talk about the top 10.
I mean, I agree with your like top 4. You could maybe jumble it a little bit.
That was easy.
But yeah. Diggs being in the top 11, I guess it is, that you just rolled out. Like you know where I sit with the whole Diggs thing. I've been soured from the beginning. And it's not my fault. It's just what I was told.
Chris doesn't like Diggs.
I'm not against.
I really like Diggs.
I'm intrigued to watch how they use him. I just was told that essentially I can't believe FSU's recruiting him when he became a portal target by somebody that was very closely involved with him in the past. I can't walk away from it until he plays a football game.
I hope he goes out against Alabama and gets like 4 sacks.
I was surprised. I know he's hurt, but I was surprised he didn't have Jason Jenkins there in the place of Diggs, basically, when you're naming those names, or Elijah Herring, who I think is an extremely important player for this football team.
All right, so one thing, and I'll put it on the board too, Jason Jenkins isn't on the list at all, because when I came up with the list, we
because of the injury, and I get
now, if you're subscribed to Knowles 24/7, we were able to report confidently through multiple layers of sourcing here that Jason Jenkins' rehab process is going well. That's something that Mike Norvell's talked about, that's going well. But what does that mean? It means that he is getting some work through like some of the player run practices, walk through his type of stuff with starters. And there's some optimism that he'll be available the first month of the season. First game has not been ruled out. So I think that's kind of where we're at. Initially, when we heard about the injury, thought it'd be at the very end of the year. I'm skeptical still that it's week 1. And if it's not week 1, are you really trying to get him in against
Virginia? Would be the goal. It's not week 1.
But there's a bye week there too. So yeah, if you can get him in. When's Kent State? What game is that?
They're after the bye or before the bye. It's East Texas A&M, Kent State, and then Virginia. And those are the 3 after Alabama. So
maybe Kent State or so. But anyways, Jason, if I knew what we knew, I don't want us to get a copyright thing. I would put Jenkins probably there where Diggs is. And the reason why I put him in there, and he's not my favorite defensive end transfer they've gotten. I really like Deontay McCray.
I do too. I think McCray is the safest bet guy in that whole group.
I do too. But the way that the roster is kind of the composition right now, with the unknowns of what Jason Jenkins will be coming back from what has been an extensive injury, you need high twitch pass rushers, multiple of them, to be effective in the Tony White. Like that's what we've seen when it's at its optimal. You need multiple. You know what you have to an extent, James Williams. You're either banking then on Amari Williams or a DeMonte Diggs in terms of just someone who has plus athleticism and length to disrupt it. And so that's why. I just think it's a roster composition matter. that's not necessarily me billing him. I also had my guys tier list. I'll give you that real quick. Hang on. These are my dudes.
Well, real quick, what's the highest number for a running back for you on the list? And who is?
Number 11, Usman Chroma.
Okay.
I made a play for him. I thought that was, if they're going to be good, it's because their run game is good. And if their run game is good, not only is it going to be the offensive line doing much better than last year, Tommy Castellano's been.
You have Pettis where he is.
Yeah.
Which
Pettis
is
a bit of a wild card.
Wish casting. But
you son of
I'm just Pettis is so like,
that's why he's in the wild card tier.
Pettis is the true definition of this day and age of portal guys. Like, you may have nailed it there. You may have got yourself a really, really good one. You may have also got the guy who there's a reason he was in the portal.
Did Chris have extra Bostonian there, Zach?
Yeah, I think
his family's Bostonian.
Mighty Bostonian.
Yeah, I heard the little accent.
Yeah, your time up in the Northeast. It may also be the shaved beard too. Or Little being in the top 10. The way they talk about him.
In-house, I would definitely consider him that.
Okay, so that's not, and he's for what it's worth, ACC kickoff. He's going to be representing Florida State there. That was a little bit of a surprise, but I mean, I think from a public relations standpoint, someone who can talk about last season, him getting better as the year went on, and you want to talk about some level of development. Like, okay, yeah, he salvaged his career. To what extent, we'll see. But he went from unplayable to playable, and now we'll see if he can take the next step.
Not to derail this, but I'm so excited for Tommy Castellano said.
Yes. Hey, Buyer Sonone, sponsored by
Turner Group.
We should have looked at DJ Ongole opting to not go to ACC kickoff as a bit of a alarming sign last year.
Did he opt not to, or did they decide not to take him?
I think it was a DJ thing. Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Did he come out and say that he opted not to?
Yeah, that's what he said. I don't know. I mean, they may force. Yeah, I mean that's what he said. He wanted to give his.
He was never a front-facing guy. He wasn't overly talkative. I had some good like one-on-one stuff with him. Like, I remember talking to him at Pro Day last year, for example, and always enjoyed those conversations and found him easy enough. But yeah, I don't think he loved the whole limelight thing. You got to remember, he lived in that pretty hardcore as both a high school prospect and then early years at Clemson. And I think he may have gotten a little tired of the idea. But is that a concern at quarterback? Yeah. But it's a balancing act. I mean, Tommy's been a little free-spirited at that. I mean, I don't care. I've enjoyed it, whatever. Like, people thinking Bama needs bulletin board material in Alabama. Like, I mean, I'm not real worried about that. If Tommy goes and backs it up, it is what it is. And if he doesn't, he has to live with words he said, and that's the job. But I think he also understands that.
Do you think we should ask Mike Norvell about what he thought? Like, it's going to be a month like after he actually made the comments. That's my reservation.
How do you think Mike would respond to that? I think there would be a slight chuckle, like the. I hope he does.
He's gonna do the head turn.
I think it depends on what settings asked. If it's in the thing that they've set up in past years, where it's just kind of all sitting around and shooting the shit, then that's earmuffs. If not. If it was like front and center stage or something like that, he'd probably be a little bit more clunky with it. But I think in a more relaxed setting, he may laugh and do his little.
I mean, I've been humored by it all, but I've done this long enough to know that like once I start playing the games, all of that stuff is relatively completely meaningless.
It's June.
When they say, "Oh, that inspired us," but if they lose, were they still inspired by it? No, like. It's just kind of a load of what. Like, to me, it's all what matters to FSU is have they constructed a really good football team that's capable of blocking people, running the football, completing passes at a high enough clip, and getting stops on defense. If they've done that, they're going to be fine. If they haven't, they're going to suck. And like all the words in the world don't matter.
All I'm going to say is tune into the latest episode of the Rollcast on the Noles 24/7 message board because Trey reenacts Tommy's TikTok that he released.
Oh gosh.
That I could have done without. Are we allowed to say who's the guest on the Rollcast on this entity?
Yeah, it's Newberg.
Oh, okay. I guess we just did it. Chris had no idea. I didn't either, for what it's worth.
It was wild.
Well, that's all right. Well, that's pretty cool. Check that out. back to the list, I guess. I don't know. That allowed us to talk about multiple things I want to talk about. That was
Highest
good.
tight ends Pittman, right?
My dudes tier. These are three guys who I'm like, yes, I like them. I like the cut of their jib. Zach looked that up for me, what that means. My dudes tier, number 13 through 15. Deontay McCray, talked about him. Chris and I both like him as a high floor guy. I just like his personality. Number 14, Jabril Rawls. I just did that for Dane. I thought Dane would really want him there in the top 15.
He's a scrappy dude.
And he's bulked up a little bit. Good ball skills. I think there's something there. We'll see. He's important because he's going to be your starting cornerback opposite of Jeremiah Wilson, most likely. And then number 15 is Randy Pittman. I went through and looked at some Randy Pittman film for a story I was doing on how they use tight ends and Gus Malzahn's offense, and he's fun. He's a fun player. I thought actually he was really good last year with not a great quarterback situation. So we'll see.
Cut of their jib refers to the appearance, manner, or general character, often in a way that suggests like or dislike.
Yeah, I know what it means. I used it correctly, which I guess, to be fair, I don't always use things correctly on this podcast. What are its origins? Where did it come from? What does that actually mean?
It is an idiom derived from naval language where the shape of a ship's jib sail could indicate its nationality and therefore whether it was friend or foe.
Okay, there we go. Thank you.
Why do you hate Elijah Herring?
I don't hate Elijah Herring.
You just don't value linebackers because it's the least valuable position.
Don't go there, Chris.
I think so. Part of this, I got stuck doing the. At a certain point, I got kind of put myself in a corner with the tiers, and he would probably be separated some from some of the other linebackers. But two things. One is I think they have 4 to 6 capable linebackers. Could be used in different ways. They're planning to use a lot of linebackers this season. Part of that is, that it's a 3 linebacker scheme, but also they like the depth, and that was built, and they put resources into it that way. So I have a linebacker tier, and Elijah Herring at the top of it. If that makes you feel better, Chris, at 24, Amar Graham, Juice Cryer, Blake Nicholson, and Stephon Thompson, because I'm looking at it as a replacement level deal. If Elijah Herring goes down, can you replace him adequately? Also, here's my other thing, and I don't want it to be because I feel like maybe he's getting overblown by you, and I saw, I think Warchant had him in the top 10, maybe, or fringe. I didn't see the full list, but I know they get a little territorial about us doing the list as well sometimes. It's okay, guys. List for everyone. He wasn't particularly good the last time we saw him at the Power 4 level, and he was good at Memphis this past year, and people are allowed to get better. And I think that he'll be somewhere in between, but he had to go down a tier because he did not do well as a starter at Tennessee. So I'm not convinced that he's like a top 10 player on the roster.
I don't know about top 10, but I'd have him easily top 15 to 20. I think he is defensively probably your 6th or 7th most important player on your defense easily.
Yeah, I think if I had to, so part of it was I had Edwin Joseph ahead of him. I do think Edwin's more important because of the role he plays and the depth behind him. I had Shaheem Brown. Again, that's probably a starting safety. If Shai doesn't start, then you're probably starting Conrad Hussey, Chris. Don't shrug it off. That's all the math that I'm doing in my mind on this. And listen, Conrad Hussey could, if he puts it together, there's a lot of talent there. It's well documented on this show. But those are the defenders ahead of him, in addition to Jabril Rawls, Deontay McCray, Amari Williams, I guess. I don't know. It's a floor seal. If Amari Williams hits and he's a guy who can get you pass rush production, I think that's really important, more than a good linebacker or above average linebacker.
So you're saying that's not a valuable position?
It's not as valuable. It's July. I don't know, guys. It's July. What else do we want to talk about? Anything? Are we kind of running? I think we're running out here. Hey, Buyer Sinone, sponsored by
the Turn Group.
Oh God, what's Cal Raleigh's nickname? The Big Dumper.
Big Dumper, yes.
Is that the best Buyer? So that's the best nickname in sports right now.
Oh, it's a great nickname. It's brilliant, and the fact that he's leaned into it and it's become popular in Seattle, it's magnificent. No, last night was fun with him winning the home run derby, with his dad pitching to him, his little brother catching. Little brother being a quotation thing because T's going to be bigger than Cal.
His name's T.
I think he's Todd Jr. He's Todd Raleigh. Dad's also Todd Raleigh. I've never actually seen him mentioned as senior and junior.
Buyer Sonone, sponsored by
the Turner Group.
Turner Group.
Find someone who loves you like Chris loves calling someone by a nickname.
He goes by T Raleigh. Bye.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, Cal, it's been fun. Think about the Mariners. They're getting Cal Raleigh, best catcher in baseball currently, and MVP candidate for $11 million this year. He won $1 million last night with winning the Derby. It's a freaking deal. But he also wanted a deal he got in Seattle to stay in Seattle. So I don't know. I loved Cal as a player at FSU. I think very highly of Cal as a person and the interactions I've had with him, both media-wise and just being around the program, and like my kid being a fan of catchers because he caught most of his childhood. But like Cal's, it's pretty cool. Like he is super committed to Seattle. He's leaned into the community there. And he's become a player that I didn't think he'd ever be. I thought he'd be a good pro. I didn't think he'd be what he is this year. It's pretty wild. 38 home runs, 82 RBIs at the break. He's probably going to have the most home runs ever by a switch hitter, most home runs ever by a catcher, possibly the most home runs in Mariners history. He's going to, compete for the AL home run crown historically. Those are all pretty wild things to be throwing out there about a guy. And then last night, to go on that stage and do what he did it was fun. Like it was enjoyable and it was pretty cool. And that's a pressure situation for a guy like him because you are currently one of the home run kings, and the other guy, Judge, and the other guy, Ohtani, aren't in that event. So it's very much centrally focused on you.
FSU Catcher University now?
Terry Kennedy, Buster Posey, Cal Raleigh, and there's been plenty of others that were pretty good, but those three they're way up that food chain, yeah.
Any other nicknames for those guys that you want to throw out there?
I mean, Buster is a nickname technically. His name's actually Gerald. But everybody calls him Buster. I don't know if Terry Kennedy had a nickname. I'm sure Terry Kennedy has some nicknames around dugouts.
They're not making Busters anymore, are they? Like that's a bygone era. There's not a Buster. There's Buster Douglas.
I don't think there's
Buster
a
Olney.
Buster. Well, he's still in sports, and obviously Posey's still with the Giants in the sense of in the front office. But
that's like there's not a Buster playing right now.
I can't think of one.
Can I tell you guys? All right, last thing. I'm going to tell you something that grinds my gears.
Wait, isn't there Buster Faulkner at Georgia Tech coaching? What's Faulkner's first name?
Yes, that is. I think that does sound correct.
That's another Buster.
But he's 40 again. There's not like a sub
Buster
40
Rhymes.
He's also not young.
I just want to see where Brendan took that. If
He's not a Buster.
It's Busta. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure. That would have been That would have been. Cut it. All right. So that grinds my gears. The stupid ducks in the Jeeps. You know what I'm talking about?
You keep talking about this.
Well, someone asked me something that pissed me off, and so it was on the board, and I wanted to bring it up for you guys to discuss to see if it's irrational. Okay. That's it. So what?
It's weird. I will admit I don't get it. Like I don't know what the subculture thing is with regards to it. And when I look in my rear view and see it, it always gets me. But
it's like quirkiness. Like I don't. It's like there's like some like quirk to having a Jeep.
I think part of it is
what
Jeep
is it
drivers I find to be a little on the aggressive side. Like there's some brand.
Ducks aren't aggressive.
The Ducks aren't. The Jeep driving is, and I find it to be passive aggressive is what I find. To look in the rearview mirror, you're on my ass. And I look up and I see a bunch of stupid ducks. I don't like it. What I want to do, and then they have the little. So what you have to do is just sit around your car with a bag of ducks, a big old bag of ducks, and you have to just take it. And you see someone else with a Jeep. Oh, this looks cool. To put this on your tailgate. What are we doing? I want to put like a bunch of like egg salad in one of the little duck holes, and then if they're not going to know. I'm going to pick it up, put it there, and then like a week later, be like, what smells? And they're going to have to go through every one of their stupid little ducks and see. And listen, if you have one and you're a good person, I'm sorry, but like do something else with your life. For God's sakes. It's just not a good use of time and resources and energy. It's stupid. It's just a stupid thing. Thank you for letting me get that off my chest. Should we end the podcast?
Yes, please.
I feel like you already did.